process like for our tourists and the front office to get you to commit to the Bulls?
Obviously the core, with Vooch being there, Zach, the organization, the city, and overall the whole spectrum of the team and the organization for me. And obviously once Lonzo signed, that made it even more appealing. And you could see what they was working towards, and it was something that I wanted to be a part of. And it wasn't too much of a pitch that they had to make after that.
Mark Schwartz.
Hey, DeMar, what exactly excited you about the addition of Lonzo? What do you think he brings to this particular unit?
One, I think I've been a fan of his. I remember watching him play in high school through college, and since he's been in the league, it seemed like he hasn't really been let free to be the player that I believe he is. And coming to this organization, once I seen him sign and seeing him having that opportunity for the first time in his career was something that I definitely want to be a part of. The dynamic that he brings to the court on both ends is tremendous. He's a hell of a point guard, hell of a player, and for him, I think you definitely going to see the best out of Lonzo this upcoming year, and something that I definitely want to be a part of.
Joseph Phillips.
Hello, DeMar. Joseph Phillips, Chicago Crusader. My question to you: I saw that you did an interview with Shannon Sharp on Club Shay, and looked like he was trying to slowly recruit you to the Lakers. And from that period, what was your thought process just far as just choosing between two historical franchises? What is it you love about the Bulls?
The Bulls, one, the history speaks for itself. Second of all, them making that next approach, they haven't had the best seasons last few years, and kind of being part of that and want to change it back around, bring back that winning mentality. Every guy, when I look at their roster, have a chip on their shoulders. Vucevic, since college, I know the type of player he is, how bad he wants to win. Zach, wanting to be on that main stage and want to compete for something much more than just, stats during the season. Myself, I always carried a chip on my shoulder, and Lonzo, putting all those mentalities together, and even Caruso coming from a winning program, it's so much there that could bring so much potential, and it was just something that was appealing to me that I wanted to be a part of. Let alone it being in Chicago, one of the greatest cities in the NBA. With those elements all mixed into one, it was hard. It was hard to turn down.
Thanks.
Darnell.
Hey, what's up, DeMar? Darnell Mayberry with The Athletic. Thanks for the time, man. My question for you is, in year 13 now, season 13, 32 years old, four-time All-Star, what are your motivations at this stage of your career? And with any of that, do you hear the critics, the people who said the Bulls gave up a lot for him? Would that play into your motivations at all?
Since I've been in the league, I've had motivation after motivation, critics, doubters, naysayers, this, that, and the third. As a competitor, you definitely feed off it. I definitely hear it. And, my whole motto, my whole career is to be the person to prove not to prove them wrong, but to prove myself right with my work ethic and the way I approach the game and the obstacles and everything that I've been through, and just leave it out there all on the table. It's another challenge that I'm looking forward to, probably one of my biggest in my career. And, at the end of the day, I want to have the last laugh, and I want to do it with a group of guys that kind of been through the similar obstacles in their career as well, and it definitely be shown.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Casey Johnson.
Hi, DeMar. Casey Johnson with NBC Sports Chicago. I look forward to working with you. I'm curious if you can maybe speak to how you project your on-court fit. I mean, we can sit here and parse it all day long, and obviously it takes time to build chemistry, but just how you are kind of envisioning your on-court fit with Lonzo and Zach and Vooch and some of the other guys.
I mean, it's basketball, you know. A lot of people I see criticize and talk about fit this, fit that, is probably never even play basketball. You know, being a basketball player, you go out, play at the park. Some of your best teams is against guys you don't even know that you go out there and compete with, you know. But for me, if everybody on the same page mentality and want to win, it don't matter about a fit, because it's all going to come together how I need to come together to make it work, because at the end of the day, the common denominator is winning. So if you have that mentality going into it, everything will figure out how it needs to be figured out in a process. And that's what chemistry is built. I never really get caught up in all this stuff about this fit, this. At the end of the day, you bring that mentality of winning and everything's going to come together how it needs to come together.
Thank you.
Jamal Collier, go ahead.
What's up, man? Jamal Collier from the Chicago Tribune. Welcome to Chicago. I want to just know about your conversation with Zach, and you kind of mentioned earlier talking about that chip and on his shoulder and stuff. But that's something that you could tell early from talking to him that, you know, he was really excited. He talks a lot about winning and wanting to get on that stage. And you know, you kind of mentioned before you've just been a fan of his in the league. So I'm just kind of curious of what your combos with Zach have been like and what your impressions is of coming to play with him.
I mean, you see it. I mean, first and foremost, I'm a fan of the game. I'm a fan of a lot of these players, and me looking at dynamics of teams and players, you always look and always wonder, if I play with this guy, how would this work? You know, you see this guy want to win bad. You see the work ethic that, you know, a player like Zach put in. You see it. Like, for me, that would never go unnoticed, you know. So even throughout the season, the things that he was doing, pushing a team, leading the team, and try to get them to where they was going. It just sucks that, you know, COVID hit. You know, you didn't really get a chance to see what he could have did towards the end of the season with the Bulls. So for me, always watching that, I always try to put myself in next to players like that, because you respect. That's where a lot of respect comes from, watching guys like a Zach. You see them put in the work, how bad they want to win, how bad they want it, and it's just not about, you know, highlights and all-stars. It's much bigger than that. So me seeing that before I even had a conversation with him made it appealing to even want to play with him, and even talking to him, you know, made it even more enticing. And obviously seeing him be a part of the USA team, I know what that process was like, and I know coming out of that process what it does for players. So it was something that like I said, just made it even more appealing.
Appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Rob Schaefer.
Hey, DeMar, Rob Schaefer, NBC Sports Chicago. It's good to meet you. This team entered last season, one of the youngest in the NBA, and since then have added a lot of vets, some guys with playoff experience, yourself included. And I ask this because some of the younger guys on the team have talked about looking forward to learning from you and having looked up to you in the past. How would you describe your leadership style? And in what ways do you see yourself kind of ingratiating yourself with this team, filling that role of a leader as they look to take the next step?
First and foremost, I'm, you know, having respect for every last one of those guys, no matter if it's young guy to older guy. I step in there and treat everybody the same, with nothing but respect. And for me, just lending whatever advice I could teach, I could give out every single day with the experience of me going into my 13th season. Helping these guys, you know, last couple of years, I kind of grown even more as a leader, being around a lot of younger guys and just trying to give them the game, give them the confidence that they need, and kind of build that camaraderie that carries over on the court. So for me, it's just start first and foremost how you approach and deal with things off the court. I talked to a lot of those guys already, you know, building a relationship before we even step foot on the court. And for me, that's where it starts. It makes everything else after that becomes easier once you get on the court.
Sam Smith.
Sam Smith with Bulls.com. There are always a lot of rumors in free agency, you know, some true, mostly not. And there were many regarding you, maybe joining up with your friend Kyle Lowry, going back home with the Lakers, sacrificing to be with LeBron, Knicks. Was anything close compared to the Bulls?
I mean, it varies. I mean, that was really my first free agency in my career, so everything was so all over the place. And for me, it was just filtering out what made sense for me. Every day I woke up, it was something new. Teams reaching out, players reaching out, and for me, it was just trying to figure out what made the best sense for me. So they always was in my top five without a doubt. We were just trying to figure out. Well, I was just trying to figure out just how to make my next move be something that I was happy with, that I wanted to do, and had the best chance to prove something. So for sure, Chicago was definitely always in there.
Thanks.
Mike McGraw.
Hey, DeMar, this is Mike McGraw from the Daily Herald. Along the lines of that leadership role, a lot of teams, I'm sure, noticed what Chris Paul did with the Suns, and that's probably a big reason why Kyle Lowry was in such high demand. Can you be that kind of person who can lead a team, a group of young guys like the way they did? People probably think it's easier to do as a point guard, but how do you see you in that role?
Most definitely. Like I said, experience is definitely key, especially now, throughout the season, especially later in the season. It goes a long way. It goes further than a lot of people may realize, with the experience, the success, the fails, everything that I went through, just understanding going into the season from day one to the last day, what it takes to really get over them humps, them tough days where, stuff is going bad. When a game or two is off track, how to put things back in place to get guys back together. So to your question, for sure, without a doubt.
Eugene McIntosh.
Hey, what's up, DeMar? Eugene McIntosh from the Biggs Media. I actually spent a couple years in California in the early 2000s, so it's been dope to see, your growth from Compton and just everything you've been able to accomplish so far. But I wanted to ask you about your playmaking, man. You averaged 7 assists this season. Was that more of a product of playing in the system, like such a structured system with Pop over there, or is it just your natural development as a player with so much experience, seeing all the highs and lows, or was it a mixture of both?
It's definitely a mixture of both, for sure. But my time in San Antonio, Pop allowed me to be myself, and with that, I didn't take anything for granted. My mindset was always, how can I make everybody around me better and use them? I always was known as a scorer, but as I matured and understood the game a little bit more, I wanted to better the guys around me to make my job easier late in games. So it was just a conscious effort of me just understanding, wanting to make the guys around me better, build their confidence, because at the end of the day, I knew what I had to do to close out game and win games. So it definitely was a combination of both, though.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Casey Johnson, go ahead.
Yeah, DeMar, I just wanted to revisit something you said recently, where you talked about, going through that USA basketball experience and seeing Zach going through it now. Do you remember what specifically you took out of your experience in Rio winning gold? And what do you think that experience in Tokyo can mean for Zach this coming season?
First and foremost, just being around the greatest players in the world, being amongst the group of the greatest players in the world, the greatest minds, the greatest coaches. It does something unconsciously to you that gives you the ultimate confidence, the ultimate work ethic, make you realize you belong in the elite category of guys. And that carries over to the season. You next to a Kevin Durant every single day, Damian Lillard every single day. You're amongst these guys every single day. You see their work ethic, the way they approach the game, the winning mentality that they have, and that feeling, what it feels like to win. And something like that carries over, whether you realize it or not, and it goes a long way.
Thank you.
We're going to take two more. Jamal Collier, go ahead.
Yeah, DeMar, just one more for me. Mark Eversley, what's your relationship like with him, and what kind of role did that play in getting you to Chicago?
Mark, he played a part in drafting me to Toronto my rookie year. I remember he was one of the first guys to see me work out before I was even drafted. My time with him in Toronto started our relationship, and it just carried over. Even after he left Toronto, always being in contact with him, having that relationship with him. And obviously when, he took the job in Chicago, I definitely congratulate him. And, for things to come full circle, for me to be sitting down with him, having a conversation, I know with the relationship we had, he wasn't going to tell me anything just to tell me anything. So when he approached me with it, with all seriousness, it made it even more easier. He did a hell of a job, and it's just something that I want to be a part of, especially with the relationship I have with him.
And one last one. Christos, go ahead.
Hello, DeMar. Thank you for your time. Christos from Greece. Hope you're doing well. For you and the upcoming season, what is the most challenging part for you to be a Bull? And do you feel that you have something to prove on the floor this season?
The most challenging part for me is probably getting back adapted to the cold weather. But other than that, me just going out there, want to get with those guys and understand that we could do something special here, and always my whole career has been a part of things, want to build things up and put them back in a successful position. So for me, coming in there with that chip on my shoulder, knowing that guys that want to win, that's there, have a chip on their shoulders, just putting that all together to make the right.